So today I want to talk about 3 heroes that are doing very well right now that I think a lot of people don't really think of as extremely meta picks. Now, these probably won't be the most played heroes, you probably definitely won't see them all the time, but I think really if you pick them up and put a lot of time into them, especially right now, they've been putting out a ton of work, and they work great in the current meta that we're in, and they've been pretty good in most other metas. With that all said though guys, let's get going on 3 heroes that are very good that just about nobody plays. So we're going to start it off here with Reaper, which is, probably my favorite hero in the game. And for the past while, he hasn't been that great. If you look at previous metas, there was Dive, which he could kind of work against, especially in competitive solo queue, but not really esports. He wasn't even that great against that. There was Spam where he was just unplayable, just awful. He couldn't get through the Spam almost no matter what. But in the current meta that we're in, triple support, with a lot of healing going around, nobody dying, there's actually a pretty good opportunity for a character that is 100% focused on killing tanks and 100% focused on tearing through HP. And we're in a meta right now where everybody sometimes feels like a tank, and who can play well versus that? Well, Reaper. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of his kit, at least ever since his rework a long time ago. And right now I think he can do that quite well. Now, the thing about Reaper I'm going to say is that he is somewhat difficult to play versus this current meta because, there's a lot of armor going around, which you're going to have to play around and you're going to have to try to beat out. There's, of course, a lot of crowd control going around, so you're going to have to play very smart, use walls effectively, and, there's a good chance you could just get caught up immediately and die. And you do as well have to play in the front line where it's super dangerous with all the stuff going on. But if you can pull it off, Reaper has shown, again, to be one of the highest win rate characters in the game right now, all across the board, even though there aren't way too many people picking him up. Now, another thing I want to say that I really like about Reaper is that I think he works amazingly with characters that are tanks right now, and as well, he doesn't really get countered by either of the tanks. Now, who are the main tanks? Well, there's Zarya and there's Reinhardt, and you could kind of say there's some D.Va and some other characters, but mainly it's been Zarya and Reinhardt. And with those tanks, I think Reaper especially is thriving, because with Reinhardt, again, you can play up in the front line, you can push in with him, and almost always you can out DPS the enemy's DPS on the enemy Reinhardt shield and push through that if your team is good enough to do that. As well, if you're playing with a Zarya, well, she puts a bubble on you, you walk up in the front line, and either you're getting free damage and you just essentially get to be there for free for a few seconds, or on the other hand, they shoot through the bubble and you're giving your Zarya free charge. Either way, it's honestly a good trade deal for you, and I think as Reaper, there is just a lot of good stuff going on right now. I think another thing we should mention right here is that, even against Brigitta, a very annoying character to play right now, Reaper does pretty well because she can't really ever kill you because she has no mobility, honestly, and you can just shift away from everything or use your Wraith form. And as well, if you are just in a plain up 1v1, she's healing, but at the same time, you're healing, and you're doing much more damage per second, and you can easily break through her shield, and overall, it's a pretty good time for you, and a lot of the other supports that normally would be pretty good against you aren't that meta right now. And, one of the other super meta supports is Zenyatta, who you can kill really easily. So overall, I think it has been a good time for Reaper, and right now is probably one of the best times that we've had for a while to pick him up. So Symetra's in a really weird spot right now because she is getting a rework somewhat soon, so it is kind of hard to say, go out and play Symetra and pick her up. And as well, Symetra's been a character forever that has kind of been like either you one-trick her and do very well, or you don't play her at all. And I think that's still kind of how it is, honestly. I mean, if you do want to pick up Symetra, you probably should be one-tricking her, or at least maining her, having a Symetra main and then, play Mercy or Brigitta or whatever on the side as well, either of those. But I think right now, it's still an alright time to pick her up, and at minimum, kind of prepare for the next Symetra if you really wanted to do that. But as far as looking at stats again, the current Symetra is doing great right now, and I think a thing I want to point out right now is that for the past, forever, Symetra and Torb have been at the very top of the ladder as far as win rates go. Most people only pick them up on defense, so that does inflate their win rates a lot, but, there are a lot of one-tricks that are doing great as this character. But with Torb in the last few months, with the Brigitta meta mainly in this last month, he's fallen a ton. I mean, Torb is not really that good right now, especially the higher ranks you go, like Grandmaster. Torb's one of the worst characters in the game, even when normally he'd have one of the highest win rates just because there's so few of them. But that's not really working for him. But for Symetra, she's still up there. She still has a great win rate, and she can still do a lot versus the current meta. Now, what the meta has a lot right now is a lot of close range fighters, and what Symetra does pretty well is fight in close range. And one problem I do kind of see is that, you know, sometimes you can get beat out by snipers. However, if you are playing safely next to your shields, a lot of the times you can just kind of out damage the enemy shield. And I think especially once we get the new Symetra update, which allows for you to actually break through shields almost indefinitely with this character, I think that'll be actually quite useful in a meta that is very much based off shields and based off cooldowns. I think Symetra does kind of benefit from that. Another thing to mention about Symetra is that, again, yeah, she has always been great, but I think right now her kit just kind of fits in a little bit more. While it's still not the best kit in the world, I think you can easily go with Brigitta and Mercy and Symetra and be fine on defense. Offense might be kind of hard, but it'll still be okay. But you can honestly be fine now. You're essentially just playing a triple support where, you know, you have a shield gen instead of any actual healing. But you have a lot of damage with the Brigitta plus the Symetra put together. And honestly, it works out for the most part in most games. Now, on some maps, I should warn you, if the map's extremely open and they have the chance to pick Pharah, yeah, maybe Symetra's not going to be the best character to pick in that one situation or a few other situations where they're just extremely open and you can't set up anything. But in almost any other situation, honestly, Symetra has been able to work for a ton of players. And I have 2 Symetra mains on my friends list that have climbed to Grandmaster in like a week as her in this season. So yeah, I think she is a good character right now. But again, probably a kind of harder one to get used to. So Mei has always, again, kind of like Symetra, been at least a Grandmaster, one of the highest win rate heroes, but again, like Symetra, she hasn't really had way too much of a play rate. But with the new updates coming to Mei, that just barely happened, mainly just being able to freeze through multiple people, she did become a decent amount better, and we have been seeing a decent amount more of Mei in the lower ranks and in the middle ranks, and in the higher ranks as well, but still, I don't really feel like we see her way too much, considering just how much she can do and how much havoc she can wreak in solo queue. Now, I think Mei in particular is a very good solo queue hero, because while it is hard to learn her, and while it is hard to execute her, honestly, because you do have to get a lot of picks with her, and you do have to use your crowd control effectively, and use your walls, it's hard to get your teammates to work with that. Well, if you can have your teammates work with it at all, and just send their damage after you put down a wall, you essentially get a free kill. And a lot of the times in solo queue, people make mistakes all over the place on the enemy team, and Mei is one of those characters that can capitalize almost all the time on mistakes. If the enemy walks just a little bit too far, you put up the wall, and that person's dead. And you know, people are saying that Brigitta has a really annoying stun that can just kill you if you're out of position just a little bit. Well, Mei's is like that, but she can also do it from far range out of nowhere. And I think that's really kind of where Mei just shows that if you do know how to play her, and if you can pull her off and make her very annoying, she can do a lot. Now, other than just the wall, which I think is mainly the #1 best thing about her that can make some people carry super hard with, and other people not do that well with, I think the fact that the freeze is hitting so many people right now, and the fact that everyone is so clumped up together, I think that's also a really good thing for Mei right now, and that makes her a lot stronger. Now, a problem about Mei is that, yeah, she doesn't do the most damage, and sometimes against certain team comps, certain triple supports, it is kind of hard to finish people off, so you do need a really good Hans on your team, or you do need really good team prioritization. But if you can get either of those, or if you can just by yourself, I guess, catch people out, Mei can still work. And I think the thing about Mei that makes her especially good, again, is that everyone's standing next to each other right now. And if you can get a flank off on these people, or if you can even just freeze them in front when the enemy Reinhardt shield's down, you can just apply so much crowd control, way more than Brigitta, on a mass amount of people. And I think that alone, and that actually happens quite often, is a really important part of her kit right now that is making her a lot better. I guess the final nice thing about her as well is that her ultimate is just great at countering this current meta, because you don't have way too much Lucio, you don't have way too much people that can really block this. You kind of just throw it on the ground, and there's a lot of low mobility heroes. They get stuck in the Mei ult, and your team essentially gets a free team wipe. And even if the enemy team has Brigitta ult going on, well, if you're still targeting the same character, you can still kill them through that quite easily, unlike, you know, playing against Zen ult, which you just can't kill anyone at all through, even if they are being frozen. Overall, I think Mei, again, is a really strong hero, getting a little bit more play rate, but not way too much. But yeah, I'd say if you want to pick up a character that isn't played that much, but that is honestly huge in potential, Mei's probably the best one for now. But anyways, as always, guys, this has just been my own personal opinions about the heroes that I personally believe are probably some of the best to carry with right now, that I don't really see played that much, that don't really have that high of a play rate at all, but that have been having pretty good results. So, you know, I just wanted to shout these guys out really quickly, and if you have ever really liked playing these characters, now's as good a time as ever to pick them up. I personally usually like playing characters that aren't the best, but and I guess that aren't really played way too much, but still are playable because, you know, you can feel really good playing a character that no one else plays, and I don't know. For me, I think that's a really fun thing, a really fun challenge, and I don't know, maybe boost your ego a little bit. So if you want to pick up these characters because of that reason, that's a good reason. If you want to pick them up because no one really knows how to counterplay them and they're strong, that's a really good reason to do that as well. But overall, yeah, these are just the heroes that I thought were pretty good in potential, and yeah, I don't really think we've seen way too much coming out of them for quite a while. With all that said though, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button to see more lists like this in the future, or press that notification button because that's really the subscribe button. As always, guys, though, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a wonderful day.